Good morning and welcome back to part 12 of themes from Orot HaTeshuva of Rav Avram Yitzchak HaKohen Cook. Our learning is dedicated to the Refuah Shalema of Shimona Bas Daniela. Rav Cook in Musar HaKodesh talks about the idea that there is this unbridled energy, there is this incredible koach, this power that pulsates in our veins that is called ratzon. It's the will of God and it's channeled in us, and it almost lends us some sort of supernatural, superpower, godlike ability. Now, what does that mean? And how do we tap into that idea? What is the source of that koach? We mentioned last time that there's something called Ratzon Hashem, and the job of every Jew is to tap into Ratzon Hashem. Lasos Ritzoncha Kirtzono, to make your will like God's will. The problem is that while God gives free will to every person, He expects us to also channel Ritzon Hashem. And how do you take this will of God, which is so strong, which is part of what reverberates on our hearts and in our minds and in our Torah, and the entire universe functions on that zerem, on that electricity, and then you have this other koach, this other strength called Ratzona Adam, because often those two come and clash. If I want to do something that doesn't match the will of the Torah, it doesn't match the will of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, then I have a problem on my hands. And then you don't experience the greatness of Ratzon Hashem. You don't experience the superpower. On the other hand, if God's strength is too overbearing, if the light is too strong, as the Baal HaTanya talks about, that if the power of the light, Kiviyachal, the sun, were to be too strong, we would see nothing, we'd all melt. There wouldn't be a place for an independent ability to do anything. And so how do you have a kol bidei shamayim, that everything is really willed by God, chutz miyar shamayim, except for fear of God, and yet have room for man's independent function? That's the question. So I want to understand Rav Kook's idea based on something I heard from a Rebbe of mine, Rabbi David Aaron. The idea is, you have to make your will and align that will, says Rav Kook, with the will of Hashem. That's what it says in Orot HaTeshuva, that we have to align with the will of Hashem. Mahu rachum, afata rachum, just as He is merciful, you have to be merciful. Just as He is chanun, you have to be chanun. Whatever midah, whatever traits God exhibits in the world, you have to try to align your will with God's will. And sometimes they don't match up. So here is the mashal, here's the parable from Rabbi David Aaron. You imagine you're trying to, and forgive the analogy, trying to potty train a young child, a little boy or girl. The first time you introduce that concept to a child, they think it is absurd. It is crazy. Because for as far as I've known, for as long as I've lived, it could be a year and a half, 2 years, I have always done my business in a diaper. And now all of a sudden, you want me to change that routine and go in there? It doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense whatsoever. And the kid rebels because basically what the parent is asking the child to do is an affront to his or her independence, his or her free will. I will decide to do what I want wherever and whenever I want. And you're now telling me that's limited to a place and a time, and I'm not gonna fall for this. And it's a struggle back and forth. So eventually you say to the child, listen, if you do this, if you learn to be potty trained, I'm going to give you a little reward, a candy, a treat, a piece of chocolate. And eventually the child weighs the two options, says, you know what? I want my independence, I want my freedom, but I really like that chocolate. So they go back and forth, and eventually they try it out. After 1 or 2 times, child is hooked. And here's the secret. You don't have to bribe anyone after 1 or 2 times. When's the last time you remember receiving a reward after exiting the restroom? Nobody has to bribe you anymore. But I don't understand. What happened to your independence? What happened to your original thought? What happened to the fact that I am an independent person? I have my own ratzon, and I don't want to capitulate to the will of anyone else. The answer is that you and I realize something at a very early age. That in the case of the potty training, and maybe in other cases as well, that you really wanted what your parents wanted. It just took a little bit of coaxing, a little bit of arm twisting to realize that your Ratzon was the same as the Ratzon of someone else. God's Ratzon runs the universe. His will reverberates in each of us. But there are times, because of the Yetzer Hara, because of all sorts of desires and pulls and different things like that, that we don't realize that our desire is the same, that which God desires. And so our task in this earth is to make our desire align with God's desire. And so when we do the Ratzon Hashem, we study Torah, we engage in a world of Kedusha, a world of Chesed, we feel great, and at that point you don't even need a reward. When Chazal say schar mitzvah mitzvah, it means the reward of doing the will of God is that I am aligned with the will of God. There is nothing more fulfilling, there is nothing more uplifting, there's nothing more empowering than channeling that incredible koach, that incredible engine, that motor that is Ratzon Hashem, and realizing the incredible feeling that Ratzon Hashem is my Ratzon as well.